Check, everybody hear me. So go ahead and take a seat if you would like one. There's extra chairs in the back so we can pull some out if needed. Getting fingers to go up with everything. We just did it together. Okay, we're just going to get started. This house is exciting. My name is Clancy Nixon. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist for the City of Durango. If this is your first time to an Engage Durango forum, welcome. We do these every other month. Before we get too far into the program, I do want to introduce a couple of people. We have Chadwick. Where are you, Chadwick? There you are. Stand up, Chadwick. Chadwick is here if you would prefer to have Spanish interpretation, if Spanish is your first language, and you would prefer to hear the presentation translated by Chadwick, just let us know. We also have translated slides for the presentation on the check-in table, so if that's something you prefer, just let us know. We also have free childcare this evening, so if you have kiddos that you would like to send over to the room. Oh, there's Alyssa. Wave again, Alyssa, in the pink shirt. That's Alyssa. She's doing the childcare. She will escort your children over to the playroom, the daycare, the babysitting room. Babysitting, got it. So if you have any children that want to hang out over there rather than sit through the presentation, totally understandable. Alyssa is your lady. So we have free childcare for each of these Engage Durango forums. Food is up here if you're hungry and you need a snack, and drinks as well. We can restock those as they empty most of the time. Okay, tonight you're here to learn about the Durango Mesa Park. So we're going to run through a presentation on that. Usually how these go is you have about a 20-minute presentation. The presentation varies for each forum. And then there's a 15-minute question and answer following the presentation about the specific presentation. After that, we break out into a table session so you can meet and chat with different departmental staff. So if you haven't met your staff members that head up departments for the city of Durango, this is a great time to go meet those folks and ask them questions and get to know what we're doing and what our services are across all of our departments. So that's what we're doing here tonight. We go from about 5 to 6:30, so buckle up. Let's get ready. First, I want to start by reading our Indigenous land acknowledgement. So if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to reflect on the land acknowledgement with me. This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Picaria Apaches, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sino, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step toward inclusion and reconciliation. So again, here's our agenda for the evening. If you can't see these slides, we may have a couple more copies left that are printed on the check-in table, so just come find Kat, if you want to raise your hand back there. Cat in the Red Hat. There's some printed copies if your eyes aren't as young as they once were, or just really terrible like mine. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Maura. Maura, you're the executive director of the Durango Mesa Park Foundation, correct?
Sure am.
Okay, all right. Come on up here.
Thanks. Okay, first of all, I see 3 seats up here, so if anyone wants to be front of the classroom instead of standing up, feel free. Oh, 5 seats, 6, 7 seats, just in case anybody wants them up here. So my name's Maura Montrose-Compton. I'm the executive director of the Durango Mesa Park Foundation, and we are very happy to be here for the Engage Durango Forum tonight. So we want to say thank you for inviting us, Nancy and city staff. Let me get, oh, quickly, got that, get my clicker. The slide behind me just gives an overview of what our history has been, but I felt like it was really important to take a moment and recognize that about 10 years ago, almost to the day, Mark Katz purchased this 1,850-acre property to donate it back to the community. Why would somebody do that? Well, he wanted to do that as a thank you for the support this community expressed to him with his business ventures with Mercury Payment Systems. But he also wanted to give the property back in a very meaningful and impactful way for future generations. So historically, this property has had significant extraction industry on it. Had a coal mine, it had a very significant gravel operation that went on for a couple decades. Then it moved into traditional residential and commercial development opportunities that a number of developers considered putting up on this property. And access and infrastructure were always an obstacle. So then it really moved into what it is now, which is considering recreation as an industry and an economic pillar for our community. And that's where we are today, and that's what the past 10 years have been spent of getting to this point. So there has been extensive planning process that you can see on the slide behind me. There's been really robust stakeholder input and gathering sessions to make sure that the vision that Mark had originally for a cultural and a recreational gathering place with enormous mountain views and expansive open space aligned with what the community wanted. And so we spent years doing that. And it turns out they were the same. The community wanted what Mark's vision was. Then the county, I just want to bring this up as we move through this process. The county was the initial group that started on their master planning process. But then in 2023, they determined that they had other priorities that they wanted to focus on. And so they stepped back from the project. It's not a no forever, it's a no for right now. We are holding that property for the near future, and we will continue to work with them if they decide to step forward. I do want to take one moment and just say the figures that have been reported on the county master plan, those are the county's figures. Those are not figures from us. That was their master planning process. So I just want to clear that up as there's been a lot of articles and meetings about that. So in the past couple of years, we've been working with annexation into the city. And we completed that last year. Now, that does not mean that the city now owns this property. The city, the property is annexed into the city, but the foundation continues to hold the property. It is private property. And we just really thank the community for acknowledging that and working with us as we work to get it open. The other thing that took a lot of time and effort and creativity and working with city staff was, along with the annexation, we came up with design guidelines and standards that maintain rural park standards for this park. And what that means is the ability for the open space to, exist into perpetuity, that big visual landscapes don't get impacted by lighting, et cetera. That took a couple of years to work through. So that was completed. But I want to talk about our successes in 2023 and 2024. Actually, I stay on this slide the whole time. We opened the demonstration trails. That was 7+ miles of trail. We had out-of-state trail builders. We also had local trail builders, and we worked with Durango Trails to build that in one season. We also constructed the Meadow Hub, and this allowed for future connectivity to what will be the bike park, which you'll see here in a few minutes. We also completed the construction of the emergency egress road last year. Never been so excited for an emergency egress road to be built. So I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna talk about that. I used to have brown hair. And then we worked through with the city on critical public-private partnership agreements to make sure that we continued on the project's momentum. And so that gets us to today. So I'm going to hand over the presentation to Hogan Kosis, who we hired last year, who, when my first phone call happened with Hogan, and he said, yeah, I think I could move back to Durango. He was in Bentonville. He had built $175 million worth of infrastructure. Is that about that? He's the only person that I knew that could take on this project and get it to the level of what this community deserves. So Hogan Kosis is our Director of Program Management for Durango Mesa Park.
Thank you, Maura. No pressure at all. It's no secret that Durango produces amazing athletes with cycling, and I believe there's an interesting known statistic that there's been a cyclist in every Olympic from this town ever since cycling was in the Olympics. So in honor of that, this facility will fill a niche that has not existed before, which is a big portion of the demonstration trails. The demonstration trails demonstrated what machine-built trails can do and how they can operate in both a multi-use setting and a directional mountain bike setting. So on that note, there's been a lot of work prior to me that's done up to this point. We are in a conceptual design, transitioning into construction documents. So we have this really pretty picture that was done in the master planning process, and we take that really pretty picture and we create a construction document set out of it that holds the project accountable into perpetuity. What we look at in the conceptual designs is to try to get 100% design set by this summer so that we can get a permit in place to do the work so that we can have a notice to proceed, hopefully by late summer, early fall. And once that button gets relinquished, we're gonna go as fast as we can and as thorough as possible. Intended sequence of construction. So if we look at the entire.
Yeah, I've got
Cool, yeah, awesome.
Gotcha.
So right now we have the, I'll back up just a second. We have the Highway 3 intersection being improved, which is a Ely Mesa Road intersection that gets improved for ingress and egress. The road going up to the bike park, or where the park will be, goes from a 12% grade down to an 8% grade and allows big trucks to come through. Bidirectional traffic will be better. We will get a surface road into a parking lot, I believe by November this year, if everything works out as planned. And obviously that is what we need to start the bike park. And immediately upon the notice to proceed for the bike park permitting will be the mass grading exercise. If anyone's ever been up there, it's a big hillside that was a extraction site, a gravel mine, and it's terraced and stepped. We're going to homologate, re-terraform, and revitalize the area so that it feels like it wasn't impacted from extraction. It'll feel like a park. It'll look like a park, and it'll be an intimate setting post mass grading. In terms of intended sequence of construction, we look at what we have the opportunity to do today. If you use the bike trails or the hiking trails, if you will, if you go up to the Meadow Hub, you'll see a construction closed sign up there. We will be done with that connector trail, which is 1.4 miles long, about mid-April. And that'll create a cool loop from Kreitz to Telegraph Connect. It'll be setting it up for a new enduro zone, which is technically the first element of the bike park. The bike park split up into 4 key areas: upper zone, middle zone, lower zone, base area. The upper zone is the least expensive element, and it's the least restrictive element in the park. So it's more of an off-piste enduro experience, but we still have bidirectional hiking multi-use planned within that space. And we also have, that interacts with our connector trail, that'll be done middle April, hiking only trails. So that'll be one of the first hiking only trails in Durango. And we're looking at some other opportunities in the future that will maybe interact with that hiking trail that could be really cool. Upper zone gets done by July 4th-ish timeframe. We're going to be waiting on permitting and finishing our design plans. It moves us into August. We hopefully are starting mass grading this fall. As soon as we get done with certain elements of mass grading, we'll be looking at key infrastructure elements like asphalt pump track, the loop trail that is the promenade kind of perimeter trail that is the anchor of the park. It really serves as kind of how you get around in the bike park. And then looking at areas of opportunity that kind of move into the planned amenities. So obviously our bike park is Colorado's largest bike park. For anyone that doesn't know that, it's one of the biggest bike parks in the nation. Because it's at altitude, it creates a very unique training facility. It's programmable with high-level races. I'm looking at high-level events coming in, like Colorado League, US Pro Cup, etc. It will definitely complement what the Fort Lewis needs for cyclocross racing, dual slalom, collegiate level events. And that's kind of just the start, right? We are also looking at the overlap of impact with communities. So within the park, I'm going to here's the map of within the park, the demonstration trails are on the upper left section. Those are built. The red lines is what we're planning and hoping for this summer. But if you look down in the base area, we look at key amenities that create circulation within the parking lot and users amongst our community. So our community gathering area, it's an amphitheater that's planned in this space, is almost the size of Buckley Park. So we'll actually have like an outdoor venue for music festivals, dog park, disc golf, hiking. We have a very big adaptive, inclusive element within our bike park. So almost all of the trails will be adaptive inclusive. They'll accommodate an AMTB bike. And there will be special programmed areas for adaptive mountain bikes that will also be really fun for the kids. So I'm going to turn it over now to Shane, because that was a good overview of where we're going. This is Shane Fernandez from USA BMX.
Greetings, everybody. I promised the team I would move fast through this, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what BMX is and what it means for this park, because it's a much bigger picture than I think everybody in here can imagine and the opportunities it unlocks. So one of the things I want to talk about real quick is one of the conversations when I'm traveling around looking at other parks. I'm the incoming chairman of NRPA's National Parks and Rec Committee for Innovation. And one of the things that they look at is active and passive use. So when you talk about passive use, that's a swing set, right? It's a piece of equipment and it can be used. Active use in parks in the future really have to be both. You have to have an element of it that can create active revenue to help offset the cost of it. That makes sense, correct? The other thing that we take a look at too is the term legacy. We talked about it in LA 28 last week at the Olympics. as they're setting up here, but it's for all parks. And what that means is the term for all. Does this park accomplish, outside of its program, things for everybody, not only in the park, but also for the community, the businesses, the region of Durango? Does it create economic and tourism dollars for the businesses and outside of just the activation of the park? So with BMX, as I'm sure you know, it fits in with the legacy of Durango. It's unbelievable. Chris Blevins is a perfect example of that. But BMX is essentially the foundation of cycling. I guarantee most of the people in this room started learning on a fixed speed 20-inch bike. And if you've jumped off a curb or raced your friends when you were little, if you can remember that experience of adventure, you're a BMX, you could just forget. So, but one of the things that when you take a look at the park and what you just saw with the mountain bike trails and everything else that's being activated in there, the facility I'm getting ready to talk to you about dovetails into this park perfectly. So on the southeast corner, far southeast corner of that map you saw, is what we are looking at as the BMX and Mobility Center. So BMX, yes, but it's actually a multi-purpose event center that does much, much more than BMX, and I'm going to show you why. Because we have a case study in Tulsa, where I work, our headquarters, that we're bringing to this, but also too with Durango and your legacy, are going to amplify the possibilities. Within that footprint, there on that 10, that's your basic footprint for the BMX activation. So that's the track. This is a tier 1 course, tier 1 facility, meaning you can have a world championship here, all the way to a World Cup, national events, state events, and regional events. The other thing, though, too, is that this course is open to adaptive bikes. It's also open to mountain bike. It's also open to other things like dirt jumpers, and it's open 365 days a year, because this is the way we've got it positioned. This is enclosed, yet the sides can open. The other big thing to notice here is the red element. That's the administrative, kind of the infrastructure for the park. We have on the ground floor for that, we're anticipating registration, mechanical shop, maintenance, but you have 2 big classrooms. Our facility in Tulsa partners with the universities. Our nonprofit does foundation classroom teaching there for schools and underserved youth. And then you've got a second floor, which you can't see on here, which has a conference center that can be designed and turned into a museum, if you so wish, and a collaborative space of 4 offices, not just for BMX, but also too for any other foundations, Devo, or other organizations that might want to have a collaborative space of cycling and activation within that top floor. The big thing to notice here, because I'm getting ready to show you some slides, are that purple area is the multi-use area. So with this facility and the space it has, it doesn't have to just be cycling. One of the things we've seen are activation with events, concerts, farmers markets, and things like that. Lastly, that yellow area is the BMX freestyle. So these are the other types of bikes. However, it's also a cross-training element. So during summer, we have a foam pit. If you need a ski run in there and things like that, this can do that, plus also adaptive activation as well. So again, much more than just BMX racing. To give you an idea, this is just some quick character shots of what we have in Tulsa. This is open on the sides. Again, your facility, the way we're planning it right now, it can be closed and it can be open both. And on our track, obviously, we have everything from World Cups and the Olympians coming in, but we also have adaptive bikes and we have at-risk youth coming through school programming to train on the track with Olympians. That's our museum. Our museum is big because it's the National Hall of Fame, but you can see with the classrooms there and the museums, what we start seeing is this. We had over 100 community and global collaborative events that have come through that facility just because people love cycling. It's a bigger commonality between us than we've realized. So we have biker rallies, concerts. Phil Mickelson, that's him up on the left, and you want to know how he got there? It's because Live Golf decided to contact us from Saudi Arabia, and they said, we love BMX, and we want to have our party at your facility because it is so unique. All to say, it has ended up being much bigger in terms of engaging the community than we ever could have thought. All because everyone loves cycling. Right now, this is a conceptual direction. This is not final, but what we're trying to do is make sure architecturally this emulates the slopes and valleys of the demographic of Colorado. And then the horizontal bands of the strata you see from the view. So not final, but we're working on it. This is real quick. I won't go through these numbers because I promise I'll be fast. But just in Tulsa, these are the economic numbers. And this is, I think, what's important, that BMX can contribute. That's different than what you have today. The World Championship, which this facility can get in South Carolina, was $43 million in 9 days. And our nationals are 2.1 million. So when you add all these up just on the BMX racing events, the economic impact for tourism and sports tourism and ecotourism is astonishing. Also, too, there's a lot of lessons learned. Our facility in 2 years, 150,000 visitors. We didn't expect that. And you can also see, this is what's interesting. Outside of the BMXers, we've attracted through our foundation, the school programs, almost 5,000 new kids that had never been on a BMX track. But they go from that to our track, maybe into mountain biking, maybe into road cycling, because again, it's for all. And then there's just some things here. You can see the economic impact of our facility in 2 years in Tulsa was $45 million to the community. So anyway, one of the things I just want to, as I leave, because I had to throw this out really fast, there's going to be more conversations in the future. We are looking at typically, and when we go to cities, these are public-private partnerships. So that's something we'll explore. We bring private equity, get grants, get sponsorships, benefactors. And somehow, in all the mix, it comes together. And also, we're also looking at options too. So obviously, there's cost-saving options, like if you buy a car, if you guys want this, we can put it in. If you want this, you don't want this, we can take it out. So that was a lot. You guys are drinking from a fire hose, but I appreciate your time. Humbled to be here. I cannot tell you how excited I am. This will end up being the most advanced facility on the planet. I'll just tell you right now. Thank you.
Yeah, we're just going to wrap up and then we'll do a question and answer. So just quickly, if Hogan, if you could highlight what's being built this summer, just on this map. Yeah, maybe you should just come to it.
So essentially, anything that's in red up here is anticipated to be done by the end of the year. If we get something more done, it's because the squeaky wheel got greased. So we have user groups that we are talking to and trying to assemble, and we are looking at other trail opportunities. The word equestrian comes out, hiking, trail running, biking, all of the user groups are in mind. So as we work with these user groups and we can identify other opportunities, we may be able to exceed what's highlighted. So look forward to more trails near you this year.
Hold on, punching forward here, okay. So what's the impact to the community? Everyone, not everyone, but a majority of Durango was out of town last week for spring break. So I just wanted to do a really quick recap of what is happening immediately. Waterline construction started in Horse Gulch Trailhead parking lot. So that is going to be closed for a couple of weeks. That started March 17th. That will take a couple weeks. The Mesa Connector Trail will be closed until at least April 4th. Please be respectful of all closures. Construction workers sometimes aren't super happy about seeing somebody on a closed trail.
Can you point out what you're talking
So this is Horse Gulch Trailhead, this little hashtag right here. We built a new trail a year or two ago that's called the
Mesa Connector.
and it's predominantly it's the preferred trail nowadays.
Yeah.
We have a trail counter on it. It's almost triple of Horse Gulch Road, but there's still access to Horse Gulch Road the original way. You can still ride your bike and walk through here. You just can't park in the parking lot till about 8.
Yeah. Horse Gulch Trail and road will remain open. The green trail to the right that zigzags up, yeah, right there, that's closed until April 4th. And so then, just to wrap that up, the downhill trail, which is the white line just to the left of the green line that Hogan just pointed to, that will be closed until the end of April. And then road construction on Ewing Mesa Road, which you can see that's highlighted in red, that closed down yesterday, and that will be under construction until November. So how do you stay connected on everything that's going on? You can stay connected through DurangoMesaPark.org, also the Engage Durango site on the city site. And then I have some additional details regarding construction updates, but you can come back after the presentation and the Q&A. And I have all of the information on a piece of paper. There's like 6 things of how you can stay updated. So I'm happy to talk to anybody. We'll open it up to question and answer. And I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight.
Oh, she's coming right back up here, but 15 minutes we'll do for question and answer. It'll feel like I'm cutting you off because I know there's a lot of questions in this room, but that doesn't mean your questions have to end. We'll just kind of go back to the tables in case folks are here to talk to other staff and other departments. So just be respectful of that time. So just a heads up, I will cut it off at 15 minutes. It won't feel very good, but your questions don't have to end, okay? So who's got the first one? Carolyn, I saw your hand first.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to thank you for being so inclusive of all the different sports. But I'd like to ask, has anyone done a market study on how many hotel rooms we have available? Is this destroying a lot of people from outside the community?
So this will be phased over many years, right? This is not happening by next year, even by 27. There was analysis done when we held the Colorado State Championships. So on the Mesa, we've held a music concert, a bluegrass music event. We also held 3 years for the high school state championships. And we have a economic impact report from 2 of those years showing how beneficial it was for the shoulder season, for our restaurants, for our hotels, for our downtown stores. Yeah,
So you think we'll have hotel rooms?
I do.
Yeah, go. Do you want to come up here so folks can hear you? And just a heads up, as a reminder, we're asking questions about the presentation itself. So just making sure we're staying kind of in that boundary would be helpful.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. It's a wonderful group. I'm Barb Bowman, the Interim Executive Director for Mesa Durango. And we have over 2,000 motel rooms, but we also have 1,100 vacation rentals, or VRBOs, vacation rental by owner, Airbnb, whatever term you're used to using. So we do have a lot of capacity in town, and we're very excited about this. This has been an amazing project.
Yeah.
Will electric bikes have equal status in the park as mechanical bikes?
What's your name?
Michael.
Michael. Oh, hi. Didn't recognize you with that. Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. He asked about e-bikes. So Durango Mesa Park is open to e-bikes. The demonstration trail projects that we built in 2023 are e-bike accessible, and the remaining trails that we will be building in the park will be e-bike accessible. There are restrictions on BLM land, and there are some winter closures, and there are closures in Horse Gulch due to open space conservation easements. We will be respectful of those, but in the park, absolutely.
Charlie.
How many parking places will be available for storage from the parking?
So Horse Gulch parking lot will not change, but parking up on the Mesa will change considerably. And so actually, I believe that there will be a relief valve to existing trailheads with the park being open. It will be very family-friendly, beginner-friendly, very easy to access.
Rick.
What's being considered for the Durango Sports Complex?
So you're speaking from the master plan that was done, and the Mountain Sports Complex, I think is what you're referring to, correct?
It was called the Durango.
Yeah, so that is a space that was master planned for upwards of 11 soccer-sized fields that could be multi-purpose fields. But that is what is in the conceptual plan in that master plan. Yeah.
Steven,
What is the status on the amphitheater and the timing of the amphitheater?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that Hogan discussed regarding the bike park and the community gathering area, base area is what we're referring to it as, will have considerable space for concert venues. In the master plan, there was a very sizable concert venue in that plan, and that still can happen. I will tell you, the most aggressive group of interest are concert promoters. And there is a desire for something that would be substantial, but we don't have it on like the next 5-year timeline. It will need to come with money.
Chris,
How many participants do we?
You mean for the planned concert venue in the master plan?
Yes.
So that had a capacity of up to 20,000 people. I know everyone is like, that's a big number. I got a lot of phone calls as soon as that master plan was released. I'm going to tell you this. What I told the person that called me, I said, we may both be dead by the time that is built. So you can just take a big, deep sigh. And that's something that's really important is what the Mesa has the opportunity to do is it has the opportunity to grow as population grows. So I understand that that sounds like a big number. Everything we're planning initially is nowhere near that capacity.
That's a concert. I love that.
Okay.
Will there be like camping near the area?
That was in the master plan as well. You can see that plan on Durango Mesa Park.org.
What does the access to the BMX track look like throughout the week?
What do you mean throughout the
Like,
week?
will you have access to the BMX track throughout the week to just go practice or?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yes. But just a restatement. So this whole year, there will be no events up on the Mesa because we're building the road. That's going to take till November. Then next year, we will be continuing to build out the bike park and those features. And so we don't see the park opening or the road opening until fall of 2026. Once that is opened, it is open to the public on a regular basis. There may be some seasonal closures that need to happen or, construction closures, but once it's open, it will be open.
Is there gonna be a new traffic light there on Highway 3?
Infrastructure, my new favorite thing. On Highway 3, there is going to be a phase signalization. And so in the future, there will be a signal. In the planning process, there was this beautiful roundabout and there was artwork in the middle and all the rest. And then we went through the traffic impact study, which was a multi-year process. And that doesn't work if you have significant events. They need to be coordinated and synchronized with all of the other lights. So it will be a light in the future.
Can you speak a little bit to connectivity conversations to the Mesa and the entity on the Mesa?
I sure can, and we made this map just for that.
And not just bike, but
So this map shows, actually, do you want to speak to that and I'll point it out?
This map shows the Animas River Trail corridor, and it also shows the Ewing Mesa Road, but it also.
We're actually missing a piece of it, but.
We are missing a piece of it. It's not highlighted, but we do have planned connections with the Promenade Trail and connecting up to the Mesa. So it was in the master plan, it was in the study. We don't have funding for it today, but we do anticipate the space. And I think that's just to add to a lot of the questions that I'm hearing, like the mountain sports complex or the amphitheater or the equestrian outdoor element of the La Pata County Fairground element, all the space has been appropriated for those things in the future. So we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak, about taking it away. The opportunity is there to explore and to connect. So as the squeaky wheel needs greased, the community, it's a public-private partnership. So one of the beauties of public-private partnerships is if there is a garnered interest by the community and it's supported at a high level, it can be done quicker, which we can attest for because we've seen a lot of projects in that space that have been really successful.
And just to finish answering your question, there was a lot of work done with connectivity to Animas River Trail, and under a possible future underpass that then will connect from the west side of Highway 3 to the east side of Highway 3, and then additional connectivity with trails. Our town loves to ride bikes, and so the more connectivity that we create, the more ability there is to access, not necessarily by using your car. So a lot of thought has gone into that.
I'll come back to you just because you had a chance and I'm trying to get to the whole room, okay? Anybody else? Tammy?
Laura, can you trace where you go
Are we
up and how you get over to where the complex is going to be? Was that map?
Yes, here I'll have Hogan point it out. So the access point off of Highway 3 is above his finger right there. That's the road that's being improved this entire year. It is, to where he is there. It keeps going down and there. And that road currently exists, but there's areas that need improvement. And then there's other areas that have kind of fallen apart. And so they will be resurfaced.
Way in the back.
So there is this document. It's called the CDOT. I want to say it's the 2030 master plan, but it might be 2040. 2030 seems like right around the corner. And there is a future road that has been considered for decades now that connects through the Mesa. Will you point out where, Hogan will point out where it's supposed to come in. And that's from Three Springs that goes to the Mesa and then would connect down this road into town. I don't know what the likelihood of that is. I've been working on this project for 10 years and we're nowhere closer to that. But I will also tell you that going through the planning process, we also looked beyond that. That is a very expensive road to build. And there was a consideration of a gondola from downtown Durango to Three Springs that then really changes the mobility of two main, kind of population centers because of cost alone. So I'll just leave that there.
1 second, Tammy. Okay, coming back to you.
Just to answer my question
Okay,
about the
great.
gondola.
Okay, great.
How is all this getting paid for?
So currently we have a public-private partnership with the city, privately funded 50%, publicly funded 50%. And then what comes out of that is land conveyance to the city. In the future, this will be primarily city property.
Okay, one last question. Betsy.
I mean, I thought we were gonna go through a whole meeting without the word pickleball. I was wrong.
We have
I know, Shane just said they have them at the BMX track. Yes, there is, I'll say this, there is space for it. I'm also going to backtrack and say, when we started this 10 years ago, guess what was not in the master plan? So I just want to address this. We also left space on the Mesa kind of unplanned because we don't know what's coming in 10 years or 20 years. And so the Mesa allows that opportunity for blank, blank, whatever comes next, to grow into that space. And just finally, we are working on new trail names. Obviously, we're building new trails. If you don't pick it up here, it's on that back table. There's a QR code. But we love community input regarding the future trail names on the Mesa. Thanks so much for attending.
Okay, a couple of things before we wrap up this portion. How many of you have been to Engage Durango, the website? Raise your hand. All right, not good enough, not good enough. Engage Durango, engage.durangoco.gov. You can find all of the city projects that we're asking for feedback on, with timelines and all that fun stuff. So, in different ways that we're asking for feedback. So check that out. We also have a survey just asking how we did tonight with this forum. Please take the 2 to 5 minutes it takes to fill that out. There's a QR code here. There's QR codes on each of the tables, so it doesn't take very long, and it's extremely valuable to hear how we did tonight. So I appreciate that. Couple of ways that you can provide feedback other than the Engage Durango website. You have See Click Fix. You can find that on our main page of the city website. We have city councilor open office hours, so check those out on our website as well. If you want to sit down face to face with some council members, there's a few in the room, but we'll go around the room here in a second. And then council meetings first and third Tuesdays of every month. You can attend those in your pajamas from home, so check those out and provide public comment. And then you can stay up to date by clicking notify me on our main page. So you can get all of our media releases and be the first to hear about the information that's coming out from the city's point of view. All right. 2 more things. Our next Engage Durango Forum, mark your calendars, May 27th. We're going to be talking about the speed management plan, is what it's slated right now. And that's right back here, 5 to 6:30, Tuesday, May 27th. So the 4th Tuesday of the month. Whose birthday? Hey, Kat, you got to be here. And then we also have Nerds Night Out Trivia coming up on the 10th of April. If you haven't checked that out, it's super fun. Jack Turner, where are you? His team is the team to beat. I'm just going to put all pressure on him. But anyway, we do a trivia night where you can learn a little bit about Durango. It's all things Durango. Really fun at Esoterra from 6:30 to 8:30. We'd be happy to see you there too. Okay. We're going to turbo speed this so you all know who's in the room and who you should talk to if you have a certain question. So we're going to start over here at this table. This is the city manager's office and finance department. So really loudly, can you introduce yourself?
Bob Rammer, assistant city manager.
Cheryl Turner, finance.
Jose Madrigal, city manager.
Mark Morgan, city attorney.
Aaron A. Hyder, assistant manager.
Sherry Cool, sustainability manager.
Louder. Jamie Lofco, community development director.
Back there, redhead.
Give you a mayor.
Dave Woodard, Durango City Council. Mike French, security officer.
Devin King, multi-role manager.
Brett Lundy, with the board director.
Hold on, put it in reverse. We've got Barbara back there.
Library Liz, library.
Oh.
Laura Merritt, IT. I'm Slim's public information officer.
He's actually going to be over there, though. That's where your table is, Tom.
Don't put me on the spot.
Put you in the corner. Okay.
Evan Roth, IT. Bryce Grant, police chief. Chris Gonzalez, deputy police chief.
Mackenzie, Purdue Police Department.
Ben Lloyd, 911.
Okay, and this whole crew is gonna be back with our Parks and Rec team, so they have a little bit more information back there. Feel free to mill about the room, get some snacks. One more very, very important thing, don't forget to vote.
Yes.
Very important, don't forget to vote, April 1st, okay? Thank you all for coming, please fill out the survey, we appreciate y'all being here.